Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Alright everybody, welcome back to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Now, I'm your host, Jose, and I want to give a little quick preface. You know, if my energy is a little bit low today, which is kind of weird because my intro is a little bit high in energy, but still nonetheless, if my energy is a bit low today, I'm just gonna, say that it has been kind of been a long week so far, even though it's only been the second day, and I was kind of tired. So I'm sorry if I seem a little bit off, but still, I'm gonna continue with the episode because I love to do podcasts. But anyways, let's get right into the news this week. So this Monday, when I'm recording this Monday, as of now, we're gonna look at Twitter so far. So hashtag DaBaby is in the #1 rap trending on Twitter, and if you don't know who DaBaby is, he's basically a fairly upcoming rapper. He's gotten pretty successful within this year, or I guess since last year too. But he has a lot of good songs and good albums that came out within the past year, and a lot of people are hyping him up. And yeah, he's just become so popular within the rap or the hip hop community, and it's really cool because I was able to hear some of his music before he quote unquote blew up. So yeah, that was really cool. But there's a lot of memes coming from him. It's not even from DaBaby. It's from his fan base, or just people in general on social media. So basically, it's mainly involved in meme culture. So it's the weirdest thing. I wouldn't want to call it stupid because it's not. Because it's kind of funny, but it requires some sort of it's a weird form of humor that you need in order to understand the jokes. So I'm trying to think of a meme that I saw earlier. But it was my name is DaBaby and I love this video. Or people just quote unquote impersonating. I keep doing air quotes, but it's so hard to do it over a podcast. But people impersonating DaBaby and be my name's DaBaby and I love this video that you post on TikTok. Or it's DaBaby's face in the shape of a car and just being DaBaby car. That's funny. And it's really a simple sort of joke. There's no punchline, there's nothing to it. It's funny on how dumb it is, I guess. That's how you can explain it. It's one of those sort of things where there's no joke, there's no punchline, there's nothing to it. It's funny because it's dumb. And he's kind of trending, and it's really really hard to explain or just describe what the memes are, because it's a meme that is so advanced or so involved with the meme culture that you can't really explain it fairly easily. You kind of have just to see it, and you probably won't even understand it if you even see it on TikTok, or not even TikTok. Sorry, I mean on Twitter. And but the whole DaBaby meme is a very complicated thing. And then again, like I said, you just have to see it yourself on Twitter. Definitely check it out. If you're on your phone right now, definitely check it out. Definitely check out hashtag DaBaby on Twitter. You'll see a bunch of memes of him and his face on whatever. Fun fact also on Twitter, Krispy Kreme is trending on Twitter just because if you show up at a Krispy Kreme location with your vaccination card that's valid, you can get a free glazed donut. And I think that's actually really good. That's really good promotion, and it's a good incentive for Krispy Kreme for people to get vaccinated, to get motivated to get their shot. And yeah, it's really cool. I'm really excited for that. I'm kind of sad there's not really a Krispy Kreme nearby my location. I know there's some here in the East Coast, but where I'm at, the nearest one is probably an hour away, and I'm definitely not gonna drive all the way an hour away just to get Krispy Kreme. But still, it's a really good incentive for both the company and I guess the people itself to get their vaccine, like you get a free donut with it. And like if you live in a place that has a lot of Krispy Kremes, you honestly could just get free donuts up until the end of 2021, because that's like when the promotion is. It's until the end of 2021. So yeah, you can honestly go to a different Krispy Kreme location, not every day I guess, but every so often to get a free donut. So that's really cool, and I don't know how much money they're gonna lose. Probably a lot, but I don't think Krispy Kreme never really. I think they tweeted actually on Twitter regarding their the whole promotion there, but a lot of people are just talking about it, like talking about memes and stuff about like how they're gonna like rob Krispy Kreme of their donuts by just getting a vaccine, or people just rushing to the nearest Krispy Kreme and just getting donuts. So it's really funny. But yeah, that's also on Twitter. So recently, this past weekend, the Snyder Cut of Justice League came out, and that was really exciting. I watched it at home, and it was a lot of fun. It was 4 hours long. And yeah, I did watch it with my girlfriend and my family too, so it was a lot of fun. And yeah, it was really interesting because like I said before, it's 4 hours long, and we didn't watch it for like, we only watched 2 hours of it, went to sleep, and then the next day we watched another 2 hours, the rest of the movie, and it was definitely way better in my opinion. It was definitely a lot better than the first initial sort of cut. And with the recent release of the Snyder Cut, people are also starting to, I guess, petition or start like a new hashtag on Twitter. Is just release the Ayer cut, and it basically, it's the Ayer cut is, I don't know the first name of the guy Ayer, but the Ayer is the last name of the guy who directed Suicide Squad, and then I guess Warner Brothers had to stop production or stop him from being director, and eventually made the movie pretty bad. So people are saying release the original cut, release the Ayer cut before when he was fired, and yeah, people are saying just release that, and hopefully it's going to be better than the original cut that came out of Suicide Squad. So a lot of fans are upset with Warner Brothers just sort of just like releasing really bad cuts of the movies. And yeah, people are starting a petition for that, and they're continuing to do that for other movies too. They're starting a petition for Ben Affleck to finish the movie of Batman that he wanted to do. People want to do a bunch of other like movies that they're planning to like actually make another Justice League, actually make a third one too. So there's a lot of fans that are kind of angry at Warner Brothers for limiting the content that they're pushing out from the studios. And yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of fans upset just because of neglect from Warner Brothers, and also just the fact that like fans know that they're literally sitting on a gold mine, because Marvel has been able to do that with their movies and make sort of listen to the fans and include theories that people have and just incorporate everything about that. And then DC and Warner Brothers aren't doing that, not listening to their fans, and it just makes everyone upset. And like I said, like I really hope they do that too. And yeah. But yeah, that's really it on Twitter. Sort of like seeing on TikTok, hashtag Hello Spring is trending. It's basically this past weekend has been the first day of spring. I think it was Saturday Saturday was the first day of spring, and it was really exciting. It was finally nice to see some warm weather. East Coast, the cold weather has just been brutal here. For anyone who's in the West Coast listening, it's been pretty brutal. It's been really cold, and it's just really nice to see the spring and getting warmer. It's still kind of cold, but just having warm weather throughout the day is really nice, and that's, people are taking advantage of that and making content from from just spring, and yeah, people are just taking advantage of it. There's nothing really much to it. People are making so many TikToks like, oh, I'm doing this during spring, I'm doing this, or I'm excited to do this, or making plants, not making plants, but growing them, and like making whatever, like doing whatever they can outside to, I guess just be outside, whatever. Lastly, David Dobrik is still under fire because of certain allegations, all over YouTube, all over Twitter. I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast before, where he has had allegations of sexual assault and whatnot, and it's still going on. More and more people are coming out about it. And it's really interesting to see within, what could happen with him within the course of this whole year. Just because, if you compare him to last year, people were praising him because during the pandemic, he made a video of him giving out money and giving out these gifts to families in need, or people who cannot afford to, to have nice things in a pandemic because, people were laid off their jobs and people didn't have money. And David Dobrik gave them money, and people really did resonate or really like David Dobrik and everything he stood for. But a year later now, it seems like the internet's mad at him. Seems like everyone really does hate David Dobrik just because, due to some sexual allegations from the past, and how he has, him and his squad have been sort of dealing with certain people. Yeah, it's crazy how much can change within that 1 year, and yeah, I think that's really in the news this week. Like I said before in the previous weeks, no crazy news, nothing crazy happening just within these social media platforms. Just because, thankfully, keep my fingers crossed that the internet stays sort of stable or like calm, because nothing crazy going on with the world. So thankfully, but yeah, that's really it for, I guess, sort of this whole segment. Actually, I don't know. Like, there's still definitely news going on in the whole world. There's little things going on too, like the whole Meghan Markle, like I mentioned before last week. It's still going on. People are still talking about it, but it's something I don't really know about, or it's not really related to social media. Although it is being talked about on social media, it doesn't really relate. But still, there is a lot of stuff going on social media, but nothing too crazy or too intense. But yeah. I really did hope there was a Krispy Kreme nearby my place just because I can get a free donut, but then again, I still haven't got my vaccine. I'm a fairly young person, and I do not qualify for one just yet. But hopefully soon I want to get a vaccine. But yeah. I also really wish, so this is another side note, but I also really wish that Instagram did have a trending page. They more have a For You type of page where it's just designed for yourself, but I'd still rather have there used to be a trending page on, I guess, what is it? Yeah, on Instagram, and just talking about what's trending on here. Here are some of the popular creators, and honestly, if I still had that now, it would help me so much with this podcast, because I was able to see what pictures were trending, what accounts were trending, who was trending, and everything like that. But now it's just more designed for yourself, and they even included a whole shopping section on Instagram, which I'm not a big fan of, just because I don't like who shops on Instagram. No one shops on Instagram. You can literally just go online and just look whatever you want up, look for shoes. You don't really have to go on Instagram, which is the last place you really want to look for stuff. You kind of just well, then again, there's also the influencer factor when it comes to that. That's where people want to sell their stuff too. But other than that, I would rather have it a smaller section rather than a whole replace the whole page of likes and follows and whatnot with the shopping. I didn't like that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, there's not really other news this week. So for my next section, I do want to talk about the influencer of the week, or influencer. I keep saying influencer of the week, but I mean to say influencer of the day, and I want to talk about a very popular YouTuber, I guess, on the rise. His name is Cody Ko. I'm a big fan of his content. He's very funny, and yeah, he's fairly not new, but he's not as David Dobrik level in terms of name, or PewDiePie level when it comes to that. But he is still another funny influencer that you should definitely should check out or just know about. So I'm going to tell you in the next segment, but first I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll see you all in a second.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Alright guys, welcome back to the podcast. So I hope you enjoyed your little break there, because I for sure did. And, But anyways, what I mentioned last sort of segment, I did talk about, tease a little influencer of the day, I guess, which is Cody Ko, one of my favorite YouTubers right now. I think, like, ever since he started YouTube, but, like, yeah, one of my favorite YouTubers right now, and honestly, a really interesting character on social media. And yeah, it's someone who someone you just need to talk or know about or whatever. So as a little intro, I want to give a little background on who he is and his little I guess what's that called? Rise to quote unquote fame. I'm not sure if it's to fame or anything, but yeah. His name is Cody Ko. So he's from Calgary, Canada, and he is Polish. If you tell by his last name, honestly, it's spelled KOLODZIEJZYK. So that is Polish, from what I read online. So Kolajesic. Hopefully I'm not butchering that, but I literally had to Google a video on how to pronounce his last name, so yeah. He's 30 years old, and he has around 5.4 million subscribers on YouTube, which is obviously a great amount of subscribers and a big number. And yeah, I consider him like a rising-ish YouTuber where he's not at his peak yet, but he has a great deal of following where you can consider him a pretty big a YouTuber, I guess. He initially started off on Vine with 3.2 million followers, and obviously that he quickly lost that because Vine had to end, which is something I do want to talk about in the next segment. But yeah, he had 3.2 million followers on Vine, and then quickly moved on to YouTube, much like what Logan Paul did, and some like David Dobrik did after their platform fell off. A lot of them migrated to YouTube, and yeah, ever since then he's gained a large following. He has made a lot of content. It's more personality based, where he talks to the camera one on one. He used to do vlogs, from what I remember, and then he does skits now. He did a series called That's Cringe, where him and his friend Noel basically react to videos, but cringe on it, because some of these videos that they react to are cringy. And it's more like a comedy type of dynamic when it comes to the videos. They do reaction videos to anything, so they react to music videos that Jake Paul did with That's Everyday Bro. I think Cody Ko does 5-minute craft videos, so I don't know if you've seen those 5-minute or 1-minute craft videos you see on Instagram where people make a pair of sunglasses with bottle caps, even though you can just buy one for the same price, and not waste time. So he does that sort of series. He does couples cringe with his girlfriend. Yeah, so they basically react same thing with Noel, but they react to videos with involving couples, and as they're a couple themselves, they react to it and cringe to it and whatnot. And also roast videos. So I know Cody does this thing where he does every increment of a big milestone with his subscribers. He roasts his subscribers and asks them to submit pictures and that. So he's definitely a channel that's based on personality and connections with his audience, and I think that's one of the main reasons why people like his videos, like his content. He's somewhat transparent. He doesn't really beat around the bush. He's comedic yet serious in a sense, and yeah, like what I said, that's why a lot of people resonate with his content so much, just because he's kind of real, and he's very funny at the same time, and he has gained a large following throughout the years. I'm not really sure what else to say about his backstory, I guess, because it's kind of straightforward when it comes to these Viners, because they've already had a following prior to being a YouTuber, so that obviously helped him a lot when transitioning into YouTube, and yeah, that was a very important tool that he had when transitioning, because I know before being on Vine, he was also considered to be one of the top Viners, and being considered to be one of the funniest Viners too, by making unique stuff, and that's why people his fan base just sort of just followed him through to YouTube. And yeah, I think that's how he sort of gained a large following, by just having that previous following to begin with. Now, him and Noel, his friend Noel, have made content, have made videos together, and have made a lot of stuff together, and eventually they have started a music career called TMG. This is a funny name, it's TMG, which stands for Tiny Meat Gang. Now, the way to describe it, Tiny Meat Gang is talking about small deli meats. not in that other tense. Because when they explained it on their Genius interview, they explained that they're talking about tiny deli meats and nothing like that. Just like that, nothing else. And they have gained around 1.4 million monthly streams or listeners. Sorry, 1.4 million monthly listeners with their fan base, which is absolutely crazy for, like, I guess you can call them like YouTuber musicians or whatever. So that's pretty impressive. Their top song Walkman has, it's funny enough because they're this funny, but they have 69 million streams right now on Spotify, and they definitely will make a joke about that just because I know like their comedy is just around, based around middle school humor. Another song that they have is Broke B. I can't say the B word because it's inappropriate. I'm not allowed to say that here. But that has 32 million streams on Spotify, which is still great, like great big numbers. One of my favorite songs, Short King's Anthem, with Black Bear, with 47 million streams, and that's also still they're making a lot of big numbers for being like just YouTubers, and I think they're one of the first people to sort of break away that mold of that stereotype of like, oh, you're a YouTuber, you don't really do much, you're not really anything, but like them. They initially started just making music just for fun. They weren't really doing anything seriously. They were just doing it just to, hey, like have a laugh. They even made like a joke album at first, and eventually, once they gained more traction and once more and more people liked their content and like their music and like the beats and whatnot, they were taking it a little more seriously. And we like the fans noticed that too. Like they were taking it definitely way more seriously. That would, and ever since then, people have become more and more aware of their content. More and more people are listening to their content, and right now they're at a standstill. I guess they're like nothing bad going on, but both of them are focusing on their own careers just because there's a pandemic and they can't really make videos together. Because when they did make videos together, they couldn't really do it at the same. Like they would always do it together, but like now they can't. They're focusing on their own content, but they still do have a podcast, which is the TMG podcast, and one of my favorites. Personally, because it's mainly just comedy and whatnot, and it's something I would listen to when I was on my like break from work, when I worked in retail. So thank God for that. And I mean, right now they're, like I said before, they're at a standstill, they're not really doing much. They're just making content on their own, and I guess I do have time for talk about Noel for a little bit because like Cody and Noel are sort of like within the same realm, and they're both making content together. So you can't mention one without the other. So basically, Noel is also a YouTuber. He wasn't as popular on Vine. He was on Vine, but he wasn't as popular on Vine when compared to Cody, and he only had a couple thousand or 100,000 followers on Vine. And granted, both of their also want to preface this too, but both of their content is, you'd say it's 18 plus, but like I just think it's really funny, and they're more mature, but also if you mix in like mature humor with a seventh grader's humor too, you get sort of their content where like their whole stigma, their whole thing is just tiny meat gang. Like they have had like awards given to them and presented to them through that name. So they've had professionals call them up. Oh, the Streamy Award goes to TMG, Tiny Meat Gang, for the best podcast. That's actually true. And that's their whole sort of like shtick, I guess, just being silly and goofy. But going back to Noel, he has this really funny bit on his, I guess, channel where no one knows his race. Literally no one. People have guessed Filipino. Fun fact, I am Filipino. But people have guessed Filipino. People have guessed Latino. Some sort of like Hispanic. People have guessed like Asian, Indian, anything like that. But he never reveals it just because he likes to keep the audience questioning, and because he is mixed. I don't know what he is, like what his ethnicity is, but it's a really funny bit just to keep the audience sort of like on their toes. And I guess he gained his popularity through Cody just because they were able to do content together and they were able to make the That's Cringe videos together, and more and more people learned about Noel and his comedy too, and how they're very similar, and people loved the dynamic duo, and he was able to make a channel on his own, And yeah, he essentially gained followers because of Cody. And honestly, I was one of those people that really followed Noel because of Cody. And yeah, honestly, personally, I sometimes think Noel is funnier than Cody just because, he's the way he just delivers. He was a comedian prior to being friends with Cody anyway. So yeah, Noel was that. And I don't know, both of them. You should definitely check out who they are and what sort of content they both make, just because it's so. I want to say it's so different from what everyone else does, but it is different from what other YouTubers are doing. Obviously, there are funny comedic YouTubers, but they do it in a different sort of sense. It's more, I guess, not dark humor, but it's darker than most YouTubers. It's the punchlines kind of hit harder with them, just because what jokes they say, and overall, just a really entertaining thing that they do. People consider them as cyberbullies. I personally don't, because like of the way they preface how they're just they're making jokes. They're not teasing anyone, and yeah, and but teach their own, I guess. And yeah, I really do recommend their content just because of how funny they are, and yeah, they're definitely YouTubers you should definitely check out or keep an eye out, because maybe they will be the next David Dobrik, or maybe they will be the next PewDiePie, or the next Logan Paul. Hopefully not what Logan Paul went through, like what I mentioned in the previous podcast, but to that level of status of popularity or social awareness. Really hope for them for that. And yeah, I just think it's really cool what they do and what sort of change that they made throughout the years of, starting off on Vine and now having literally like singles that blew up online and having people listen to your songs and people, sing along with your songs. And I forgot to mention this too, but they also do they tour. But like not like a musical. They do somewhat like a musical tour, but they do comedy stand-up shows mixed in with sort of music. So like I know they've done shows near me in Philly too before, which I really wish I went to. I could have gone. I don't know why I didn't go, but I could have gone. They were basically just comedy shows, but also they incorporate some of their music and they sort of like rap to it or sing to it. And they've had like Black Bear show up. Who else have they had show up too? They've had like guest YouTubers show up too. I think they've had Post Malone show up to one of their shows, which is honestly really cool because I know like they're buddies with Post Malone, and yeah, like I kind of wish I was able to go on their shows because I heard it was really funny. I had a lot of friends in high school that went there and they posted all about it on social media, and I was like, dang, I really wish I went. And but yeah, like overall, I think I just really wish I went, and definitely check them out, I guess. Just seeing their rise to the quote unquote top is really cool. But yeah. So on my next segment, I kind of want to go back. I mentioned a lot of these, the influencers of the week or day. I keep saying week, it's day. A lot of them you can see they originated from Vine, which if some of you don't know what Vine is, I'm going to talk about in my next segment. But it was a former social media app that is now dead. And yeah, I'm going to talk about that. And it's sort of like give a little brief history of what Vine is and how amazing it was at its time. So yeah, but first we're gonna take a quick break, and I will see you all, I guess, in less than a minute. Peace.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be, visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Alright, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. And I kind of left off the last segment talking about what's the brief history of what is Vine? Honestly, what makes Vine Vine, or let me rephrase, what made Vine Vine? Because it is now discontinued, and I'm kind of sad that it is, because it's been replaced by TikTok, or at least how I see it. It's been kind of replaced by TikTok, but personally, I did like Vine a little bit more, just because it was so. We'll get into that later. But a little brief history. It was founded in 2012, but was acquired by TikTok in October of 2012. So, oh my goodness, did I say TikTok? I meant Twitter. Sorry about that. Yeah, it was acquired. See, I can't go an episode without talking about TikTok, honestly. Like, I always have to mention it somehow. But it was acquired by Twitter in October of 2012, and so basically that made, like, whenever you posted something on, I almost said TikTok again, whenever you posted something on Vine, it would automatically link to your account on Twitter and post it on Twitter. So, I mean, that was a little fun fact there, but I don't know why I had to mention that, just because, like, I want to talk about the correlation between that. But it was officially released in January of 2013, and it was estimated to be around $30 million when Twitter acquired it. So, honestly, that's fairly cheap for a company to invest in an app, because I know for sure Facebook invested way more into Instagram. I think I mentioned that in one of my previous podcasts, actually. But yeah, so it was obviously $30 million is a lot of money, but for a business to, invest in an app like that, it was fairly cheap, because it was still, a very it was in its early stages. That's the best way I can explain it. But yeah, in 2013, shortly after it was released, it became one of the most downloaded free apps on the App Store, especially the iOS. I'm not sure exactly for Google Play, but I'm assuming it was, just because of how easily accessible it was for people. And yeah, it was loved by a lot of people. Personally, I loved it a lot, just because of how fast-paced you were able to get information, or content. It could be the dumbest video you can find on Vine, but people would listen, or I guess people would watch it because it was only 6 seconds long. And I think that's one of the main reasons why, like, the virality of Vine was popular. Hopefully I did that correctly, but that's why it was so popular, is because of how short everything was. I think we're now in an age of social media where people's attention spans on social media is, like, literally the snap of a finger. It's so short. Like, people will watch something, swipe, and then forget about it. And that's what, Vine sort of regulated people to do that. You were able to watch a video, say a King Bash video, a comedy. I'm going to say a reference, and if you know this, you're amazing. But that backflip, though, if you know that Vine, like, you could watch that and just, forget it for the rest of the day. And that's it. Like, that's your 6 seconds of content. And that's why people resonated a lot, or liked the app so much, is because of just how fast you can get, I guess, quote-unquote, quality content. And personally, like, I posted I almost said TikTok again. Personally, I posted Vines, but, like, not with my face on it. I would do, what was the app I would use? Okay. Does anyone remember Smashdub? It's basically, you would, like, lip sync over a video or a sound and make a video out of it. Well, I would do those, like, I would lip sync over videos or sounds on Smashdub and then repost them on Vine. Hoping I would get there was actually a decent amount of followers on Vine. I had, like, not a couple hundred, but, like, I knew I had over 100 followers on Vine, just posting those Smashdubs of me lip syncing to random videos. And yeah, it was pretty cool. I guess my account peaked when that one iridocyclitis video of that one guy in the spelling bee became popular. I made a video off of that. I forgot what it was, but I remember just making a video off of the iridocyclitis video, and it low-key blew up, I guess. I did get, that was one of my most viewed videos, and that was, like, my peak on Vine, but after that, I didn't really do much. And overall, I really did like Vine. It was something I would just, like, just sit through and just swipe through. Compared to TikTok, TikTok requires a lot more thought, while Vine was you just watch a Logan Paul video of him doing a backflip and tripping over a trash can. If you also get that reference too, you're amazing. And you would just watch that and just forget about it for the rest of the day. And it was just really cool, and it was kind of innovative at the time, just because there wasn't any app like that. Like, although you may hate having to be restricted to only 6 seconds, that's what made it popular. That's why people liked it so much, because there was that challenge of, how can I make an informational video or entertaining video for just 6 seconds? It's kind of like a backhanded slap to directors, honestly, like that. Like, people are making quality content in a shorter amount of time with little to no thought. Or you can be someone who just puts a lot of thought into it. It could be whatever. But it was loved by a lot of people. And in 2015, Vine put out Vine Kids, basically limiting to only 7 to 12-year-olds only on that form of the app, where certain videos were being regulated by like the actual marketing team for Vine. And they would make sure to monitor all like the stuff that was going out, all the videos was being made and being sent out, and it was very age appropriate for them. And I'm not sure how like the popularity of that app was. I'm assuming it wasn't a lot, just because of just because it was specifically for kids, which is a smaller demographic, and kids could have easily just made an account through the regular Vine app itself. So I'm not sure how successful it was, but I'm assuming it was somewhat, but not the best. And yeah, on October 2016, the sad day came where they announced the end of the app itself. And you could only view posts that were made, but you couldn't make a post afterwards. So one of the leading contributions on why it died off is because Instagram incorporated videos into their on their platform. So this is when around a time where I think it was only limited to 15 seconds, so you can post on Instagram. And what people did was just repost Vines on Instagram, and even Instagram video had the same features as Vine did, and I think it was just a little bit somewhat better, because there was that more time. And what people would do was just put like 2 Vines in one Instagram video, and that was it. That was able to like share their content. It was much faster that way too anyways. And there was already a large following of people on Instagram, so that's another reason why it kind of died off. Like, you didn't have to make a new account just to watch Logan Paul's new Vine. You can really just go on Instagram, he's going to repost it there, and that's the end of it. You don't have to do anything else. And Instagram was a big leading factor on why it had died off. And in 2017 of January, I guess Twitter or Vine announced that they were going to rename it to Vine Camera, which you can still record videos for just 6 seconds and just send it to Twitter. You can't even post it on the app itself. It was just a camera app at that point. And which is, kind of, that's why another reason why it kind of died off, because Vine Camera didn't work, is because you already had a camera on your phone. You can literally just record that. You can record a video on your phone for 6 seconds or even longer and just post it on Twitter. So there's really no reason for Vine Camera to do anything, although, your camera doesn't have editing features, which you can still just do on Instagram. So Vine Camera just became just useless, and no one really needed it anymore. So that's why it sort of just died off. And on January 2017, Twitter then made an internet archive of Vine videos, so people were still able to rewatch Vines that they made. And although you can't post anymore on it, you can still go through the app and watch the Vines that people made and go back through anything else like that. But still, it failed. No one was doing it anymore, because within that time, people had already made Vine compilations on YouTube, and people were just watching that through there instead. And so in 2019, Twitter completely removed the whole service itself, and Vine officially was gone from the internet. No one else can, I tried looking for the app in the App Store. It wasn't there. I have an old iPod that still has the Vine app on it. Can't even open it. It just gives me an error. And yeah, it's completely gone. And it's really sad in my opinions, because it's just overall, like, it was such a good app, and there, compared to like what TikTok is now, it was less toxic. In my opinion, there was a lot less toxicity amongst other people, amongst other creators, just the community itself. People were just there to watch a video, and people were just there to comment, and anything like that. There was no complicated, themes or trends going on. Of course, there were trends going on, but there wasn't anything bad or wasn't anything complicated. There were just more on people just there to have a good time. And maybe it's because time's changing now, or maybe because time was different then. But during that time, Vine, there was a lot less focus on the individual. It was more just focus on the app itself. That's what's really different with TikTok now. Like TikTok, there's new trends happening every single day. And which honestly, that's a good thing too. Like trends can happen every day, and that's really cool because, that's how that's how information can be shared within a short amount of time. But so like that can also be a bad thing. So it really is just different how Vine, although there is that video aspect between Vine and TikTok, Vine sort of they had it in the palm of their hands. They had the following, they had the people supporting it. It's just there was a better service that was introduced to it. And, granted, now that I look back at it, like even if we did have Vine now, I don't know if I would be using it actively, just because now that I know that Instagram has the video portion to it. Obviously, like, if Vine was still, like, being made now, or if it was still available now, it would still be unique, just because of that 6-second limit that they have. Instagram had that unique factor where they only had 15 seconds, but as you can see, now it's like a minute, and you can even do multiple posts in one post. So like, you can technically do like 10 minutes of video. With Vine, they only limited to 6 seconds and nothing more, nothing less. And that's what made it unique, because it gave that people a challenge. It gave that audience the challenge to do these things within a short amount of time, like I've said before. And so that's why I think if it were still, a service that was still like, happening, maybe it still could be popular. Maybe there would still be a lot of people on it. I was just hoping like the change that's happening now wouldn't have affected Vine itself, because Vine was I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it was really good during its time, and it was really prominent during its time. Because if you think of, close your eyes and think of 2013 and what you were what we were like in 2013. A thing that could probably pop in your head is Fetty Wap and Vine. Those are probably the two things that would pop in your head if you think about 2013, because that's what pops in my head for sure. And yeah, I just think it's just sad in general seeing it go, because when it was announced, I was at school, and it got announced that Vine was ending. I'm like, at first I didn't really bat an eye, because like, no, it's not ending. It's not gonna, Vine is a really good app. No one's gonna do anything to it. And then it died off, and I'm like, dang. I ended up just watching Vine compilations for a good year within my like sophomore year of high school, and that was it. And yeah. But now for my next segment, I want to talk about like sort of something within my own opinion, in my realm of my own opinion, I guess, and just talk about like, why are celebrities considered influencers on social media? Now, at first when I would think of influencers, I would think of someone who is self-made in a sense of only through social media. Like you get celebrities who were popular because they're in movies, who have music. But then you get also influencers who have made their name through social media. Now, at first, that's why I didn't consider celebrities as influencers, because they already had a following prior to being on social media. But like now that I think about it, there's a whole new meaning to influencer, and what makes a person an influencer or social media famous. And I want to talk about that in my next segment. But first, we're going to take I guess you can say, quick break. And yeah, I'll see you all in a quick second.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I just want to say thank you for listening to the podcast. It really means a lot, someone who's, just doing this out, for really, not, who's been doing this not so often. I just want to say thank you for listening, and, yeah. So for this segment, I want to talk about why I consider celebrities as influencers on the internet. So, little preface, in the beginning, I didn't really consider them as influencers because they had a following prior to being on social media. So, like, say, I used to not consider Paris Hilton as an influencer because she was in various projects as an artist, as a model too, I believe, and everything like that. She already had a following, and having that and bringing that in to social media, I just didn't consider her one. I consider someone like PewDiePie as or Liza Koshy as an influencer, just because they were able to build a following from the ground up through solely social media. That's where their origins were. Like, now that I think about it, an influencer means many things, many different things. And the more I did research on what an influencer is, I kind of slowly understood that it's not about the person. It's about what they do that defines them. I swear that's like a Batman quote somewhere. I've definitely heard that Batman quote. I think it's like people, when someone was like asking him who's under the mask, he's like, "It's not who I am that defines me. It's what I do." Wow, I really just ripped that off. Okay, but anyways, I looked up the definition of an influencer. Shout out Merriam-Webster. Gave me the definition. So I gave out two. So the first one, an influencer is a person who inspires or guides the actions of others. And my other the definition that I have here is a person who is able to generate interest in something by posting it on social media. So that obviously that second one is more focused on the internet aspect to it, but the first one gave like a generic or general idea of what an influencer is. And after reading that and after like doing a little bit more research, I realized that anyone can be an influencer. Anyone can influence others. It's really in the name. As long as you influence others through with your position as sort of like having a big following, you are considered an influencer. For me, I'm not, I don't consider myself an influencer. Hopefully soon I will be, but that's my dream to be an influencer. But I don't consider myself one because I don't have that much big of a following. But say if it's someone, let me think of like who's someone famous that like I can think of on the top of my head. Chris Evans. He is a big influence on social media. That I consider him an influencer. And that was frustrating at first because in the beginning when I was trying to do I do like that segment of talking about influencers, I would constantly be getting celebrities. I'm like, I don't want celebrities. I don't want to talk about them. But then I realized like, oh, they are influencers. Yeah, and that's sort of like made me realize that like, oh, there's more to being an influencer than just being an individual who built themselves from the ground up on social media. So, it really does bring the question, like, what makes you an influencer now, Personally, like, an example is, from what I saw on the internet, Mark Ruffalo, 19.3 million followers on Instagram, so that's obviously a lot, especially for Instagram. And he is an activist on certain, basically social constructs, or social issues, I mean. So, like, with the Asian community recently and the Asian hate, he's been actively posting about that. He's trying to influence others to make a change, to help others and, stop Asian hate. And also, he was a big advocate for Black Lives Matter. He still is. Not was, but he still is. And he was quite prominent on that all over social media during the summer. And he would be actively, again, like posting about it, informing his audience, and just telling people all about it. And that's definitely like, it shows that he is an influencer because he's able to define the definition of what an influencer is. He's not just a celebrity now. He's an influencer. And, he's always, like, advocating for people to vote when, like, during the recent, election, he was constantly, like, make sure to vote. You are the change in this world. And just seeing his posts and seeing what he was like on social media, it made me realize, like, I've been thinking of the definition of what an influencer is, like, wrong this whole time. Because it's not about what you're following. Well, it kind of is about your following, but it's not about what you did beforehand. It's what you do on social media that really makes you an influencer. And another example, a great one, is Gal Gadot. She has 51 million followers on Instagram, which is absolutely crazy. Just because that's although 19.3 with Mark Ruffalo is a lot, Gal Gadot still has 51 million. That's a lot. And she advocates like to wear masks and like protect yourself and others from the COVID pandemic. She's a feminist, always striving for equality and the rights of women, and constantly informing her audience about situations like that. And so these there are people who are influencing their audience to do positive things or make a change in the world, and that's what really an influencer is. I didn't know that until afterwards. I didn't know that until I did more research. I always thought like Cole Sprouse was always for some reason always the number one person that showed up on Twitter when it comes to like influencer. And I was like, Cole Sprouse can't be an influencer. He was on Speed Life of Zach and Cody. He can't be doing that. Like, he's a celebrity. But then I realized, like the definition of influencer is to influence people, and although he's a celebrity, he still has the ability to influence people, and that technically makes him an influencer. And I just think it's crazy how that my whole like mentality towards that changed. Again, even though today for my segment I still talk about a YouTuber, I still consider celebrities as influencers, which is really cool. And hopefully next week I'll probably think of like a famous person to do a celebrity. To do influencer of the day. I was thinking of. Who was it actually? I was thinking of Robert Downey Jr. for next little teaser, but Robert Downey Jr. for my next episode on the influencer, because he is quite active on social media, especially Instagram and whatnot, and is quite vocal about his beliefs and his life throughout his acting career, which is really cool. And someone posed a question to me while I was making this whole sort of segment. It was like celebrities. It was a question, but it was a saying, which really sparked a question in my head, or thoughts. With celebrities can be influencers, but influencers can't be celebrities. And I thought that was really interesting, because is it true or is it not true? Obviously the first part, celebrities can be influencers, because like I said before, they're able to influencers, but can influencers be celebrities? So people in the level of Addison Rae, the people in the level of Logan Paul, KSI, people in the level of, these YouTubers or these TikTokers or Viners, or I guess not Viners anymore, but these people on Twitter, are they considered celebrities? So I looked up the definition of celebrity, and again, shout out to Merriam-Webster for giving me, since 1928, they've been giving out great definitions. It's a state of being celebrated, I guess, or fame. Or the other definition was a famous or celebrated person. So, personally for me, my rebuttal is I think you would consider influencers as celebrities, because although they haven't made a strong impact when compared to, again, like Paris Hilton, on the world itself. You compare Bryce Hall to Paris Hilton. Obviously, they both have different forms of art. And they both have different forms of social media presence, but it's still able to be quote-unquote famous. They're well known amongst certain communities. I can talk to someone who doesn't know anything about Paris Hilton, but knows a lot about Bryce Hall, and they consider them as a famous person. So I really think it's depends on the person itself, and if they're a celebrity or not. But I think influencers, personally, can be celebrities, but to a certain extent. And they were the person that was having conversation with about this whole saying is that they were saying you wouldn't think Addison Rae as anyone other than just a TikToker, and that's true. She is a TikToker, but you would consider Chadwick Boseman, the late Chadwick Boseman, as just an actor. He's not a TikToker, but he's an actor. Well, Addison Rae is a TikToker, not an actor. Or hold up, did I think? No, I said that correctly. But they're both in their own realms, of different platforms, but they're still well known within their own realm. So in the world of TikTok, Addison Rae is more famous then Chadwick Bo. Yeah, then no. We'll say like Addison Rae is more famous than like Chris Evans, in terms of TikTok, because she is producing content with a lot of followers. But in the world of acting, Chris Evans is more famous than Addison Rae in the world of film. So they're both famous, so you can call them celebrities. They're like, again, the definition is a famous or celebrated person. Personally, I don't celebrate Addison Rae or even Chris Evans, but they're both famous in their own realms, and that's why I consider them to be equally a celebrity. I guess that's the best way to form that. But both, a celebrity in my own realm, in my own definition of it. And but yeah, feel free to anyone just completely completely cut me off right now. Just pause me and just argue with me right now. I'll give you a second. Okay. And that's how that's how I see it, in a sense where they're both famous, they're both well known, and people talk about them actively. People follow them. And yeah, I guess that's how I see it. It's really interesting because for the longest time I never considered Charli D'Amelio as I never considered someone like Scarlett Johansson to be like Charli D'Amelio in that sense of being famous, because obviously Scarlett Johansson's sort of line of work is well decorated compared to Charli, because Charli's only limited to TikTok dances, TikTok trends, being on commercials, or being sponsored by Bang Energy. I don't know if she actually has been sponsored by Bang Energy, but while Scarlett Johansson's doing this, multi-million-dollar Disney contract for Marvel movies, and been in several other movies and projects and commercials on her own, but they're still both considered to be famous. And that really never really crossed my mind until recently. So I think, again, that's really, really cool. And yeah, and it did give me a different outlook on what celebrities are and what TikTokers are, or influencers are, or anything like that. And I really did enjoy that. But yeah. But I think that's it for today's episode. I really did enjoy some of these conversations, especially the last one on Vine too, because they're very they're things that really thought provoking for me, at least. And yeah, this has been GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Again, I'm your host, Jose, and any sort of feedback, especially positive feedback, would really help when it comes to that. Really does help me as a host, helps me improve. And make sure to follow us on our social media platforms, such as Twitter, Facebook, and anything new like that. So make sure to follow us on that again. And again, I cannot express this enough, but thank you so much for watching, or not watching, listening. And check out our other shows too. We have a line of different great shows that you should definitely check out, listen to. And yeah, other than that, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all in the next episode, I guess. Peace.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.